A special report on mercy killing tonight on Action 11 News.
It's the first weekend in March, and March means NCAA tournament time. And here at Assembly Hall on the campus of Indiana University, the Iowa Hawkeyes start their final drive for a tournament invitation. They'll need to win one of their last 3 games, but Bob Knight's Indiana Hoosiers are an imposing hurdle. It's the Hoosiers' final home game as they drive toward the Big Ten championship. Coming up, Iowa versus Indiana. From Assembly Hall on the campus of Indiana University, where today the 16th-ranked Hoosiers meet upset-minded Iowa. Indiana needing a win today to keep pace with Michigan, who enjoys a half-game lead after their win over Northwestern yesterday. It boils down to a 3-team race for the Big Ten title. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender along with Doug Collins. And Doug, while Iowa is out of the title picture, this is a critical game for them if they want to get into the NCAAs.
Gary, Iowa's a very explosive team. They have great quickness, but youth and inconsistency has been a problem. George Raveling told me yesterday the keys for them today, they must out-rebound Indiana by 10, and they must force turnovers with their trapping defense.
If Indiana wins today, it'll give them 20 wins for the year. That means 11 times out of the 15 years for Bobby Knight, they've won 20 or more games.
Well, Indiana offers no surprises. They're going to come at you 40 minutes of man-to-man defense. Today, they must be patient in the half court and not turn the ball over.
Iowa's been tough against the Hoosiers. They've won 3 straight, 3 of the last 5 here in Bloomington. We'll be back to set the starting lineups for this Big Ten encounter in just a moment.
CBS Sports presents NCAA basketball. Today's game between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Indiana Hoosiers is sponsored by Pontiac, America's road car company. Pontiac, we build excitement. Hewlett-Packard, the people who turn your business computing problem into a business computing solution. And by Mass Mutual, we insure more than lives, we insure success.
Hi, Dad. How you doing?
John, you clown. Come here, you.
You're early.
Yeah, well, I was
This is yours.
Yeah, it is.
6,000 STE? You're kidding.
What do you mean?
My dad, a Pontiac 6,000.
That's high-tech stuff.
The fuel-injected V6, right?
Yeah.
4-wheel disc brakes?
Yeah, I've got everything. Listen, come here. I know you've been hitting the books pretty hard. So, let's go for a ride.
All right.
We build excitement of Pontiac.
An idea doesn't conform to a 9-to-5 schedule. So at Hewlett-Packard, we're always thinking. Because even though we sell business computing systems, what we really do is solve problems. We never stop asking, what if?
Jim? Mike, I've got an idea on that branch office network. What if we connect all the PC?
Over 17,000 in sold-out Assembly Hall. Iowa against Indiana. Let's check now the starting lineups for this afternoon's game. Marble, he'll set a freshman scoring record before the year is over. Callaway will probably be the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. White, he is an outstanding leaper. And Harris, the best athlete on the Indiana team. Lorenzen, he's strong inside. Thomas, the leading rebounder. Moe had 24 points in the first game between these two, and Alford, a deadly outside shooter. Banks, he's excellent in that zone that they run outside. And Morgan, fine defensive player for Indiana. George Solomon, Darwin Brown, and Gil Haggart of the Big Ten Conference will be in charge of this game today. They met earlier this year, and Iowa was red hot. They shot 61% from the field in the first half, went on to win by 10. You can see Callaway had a big game, and Jeff Moe had a big game, and that's the very reason Jeff Moe is starting today instead of Bill Jones.
He's come into the ball game. He has a history of big ball games against Indiana, so George Raveling giving him the start today. Gary, let's watch to see if they try to go to Moe early to get him off and running here early in this game.
George Raveling in his 3rd year as the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes. He and Bob Knight are very good friends. In fact, we had the opportunity to go out and eat with them last night, and while there was a lot of kidding, today it's all serious as the battle lines have been drawn.
This is a critical game for Iowa. They must win at least one, if not two, of their next 3 basketball games, and George Raveling would love to get one of those today.
I think we should mention that the Sun Belt Conference tournament does not help a team like Iowa. If you haven't followed that, Jacksonville won the tournament, beating UAB, and a lot of talk about how many teams will go from the Sun Belt. And at halftime, we'll have a feature about teams on the fence. Iowa in the black, Indiana in the white. It'll be Harris going up for the Hoosiers. He is 6'6", but an outstanding leaper. And it'll be Gary Wright at 6'8", going up for Iowa. And look at Harris get into the air.
What an explosive leaper. He easily out-jumped Gary Wright for that tip.
He said on the lineups he's their best athlete. You can see why. And he's really playing well after making the adjustment from the junior college. Here is Harris missing. Lorenzen tips it, and Iowa lost it.
Indiana wants to be a little more patient to that. That was a quick shot by Andre Harris. They want to spread this Iowa defense out, force them to play for periods of time, and then make them break down and get easy baskets inside.
Winston Morgan triggers it in. Here's Callaway, the freshman out of Cincinnati. He'll be the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Here's Morgan, a senior, off to Alford. He is just brilliant from outside in his shooting game. Morgan, their best defensive player. Alford averaging 22.3. There's that patience you were talking about. Callaway kicking it out. Alford wide open. You can't allow that.
Well, that possession, they took their time. They did a nice job moving the ball around. They moved it from side to side. They kicked it in. Jeff Moe actually fell down, left Steve Alford wide open, and you just cannot allow him to shoot those kind of shots.
Here's Roy Marble, the freshman out of Flint, Michigan. He has been outstanding the last 4 to 5 weeks. Inside, and we're going to have a foul. The foul is going to go on Gary Wright away from the ball. This Iowa team has been plagued with fouls on the road in particular, and part of it is because they play a trapping defense, but it's a great concern to them. And Raveling up, he's checking as to why Wright was called for the foul, and I think everyone is, and now Raveling has a technical. Doug, I got to tell you, he might have a reason. I don't think anybody knows what Wright did to commit that foul.
Gary Wright must have used his off arm or something in the low post to create the offensive foul, but George Raveling irate. We've only played 1 minute and 6 seconds, and he's already been hit with a technical foul.
Well, George was pacing the near sideline. Let's see if we can pick it up on a replay, because quite honestly, it was very subtle. Let's see.
Well, it's in. They've called right there with locking in on Andre Harris. It looked like he had him locked with his right arm. That's where the foul was called.
Well, that does show it a little bit better. Anyway, Raveling with a technical. Alford will now shoot the free throws. Now, Bob Knight is up. He wants to know what George is upset about. As I said, they're good friends, but when you come to play in this game, you forget about some of those friendships, Doug, and you've had that when you played. You've got guys off the floor, good friends, but you'll what? You'll go to the jugular when you get to the game.
Absolutely. Both of these coaches have a tremendous killer instinct, and now Bob Knight is all over the official. I think he's trying to get his point across to let him know that George Raveling is not going to get the best of him with the officials here early in the game.
Indiana by 4. Out it comes to Morgan. Here's Thomas. And Indiana now jumps up by 6. Here's Banks, the only senior on this Iowa team. Lorenzen walked with it. And Iowa getting off on very shaky footing.
Right now, Indiana has things going their way. Iowa right now must exhibit some poise. This is where you must call on Andre Banks.
Now we have a technical on Bob Knight. Well, I guess we're going to even it up a little bit. What he was upset about a moment ago was that Raveling walked over the line, and it upset Bob. Now Bob's gotten a technical, and the way this game is going, we're not going to have 2 coaches around.
Bob Knight is irate right now. He wants to know with the official what in the world he said.
He's trying to get an explanation from George Solomon.
This is a big break for Iowa.
Shooting the technicals are Moe. He hits the first.
Gary, the reason this is such a big break right now for Iowa, they had just been called for a traveling violation. They're going to get 2 free throws, which finally gets them on the scoreboard. Jeff Moe knocks them both in, but the big thing, they're getting possession of the basketball back, Whereas Indiana might have gone up 8-0, Iowa now has a chance to close the lead to 6-4. That could be a very big play in this game.
And to follow up on your point, it breaks the ice for Iowa. They couldn't seemingly get anything going for them. Now they are on the scoreboard, down by 4, and as you said, they have possession of the basketball. That is, you know, there are times to get technicals, Doug, and then there are other times you're not. That was not when Bob wanted that technical.
No, it wasn't, because he had the things in his favor. Iowa was a little shaken. Now they have a chance to get their feet back underneath them.
Here is Moe. He is out of Indianapolis to Marble. Rebound, Harris. He is so impressive the way he can leap. Here comes Winston Morgan out of Anderson, Indiana. Inside intended for Thomas. It wasn't there. He was double-teamed. Lorenzen tipped it off to right. And here comes Andre Banks. Here's Moe. Moe had 24 points, 10 of 16 from the field in their first encounter this year. Out to Banks. And wait a minute, we're going to have 3 seconds in the lane. And so they'll wave that one off. And Indiana now will have the basketball.
That play right there was caused because Al Lorenzen never could get the handle of the ball. He got hung in the lane. He kicked it out, never got out of the lane. And 3 seconds was called.
This is such a young Iowa team. As we mentioned, only one senior. And there's been times when they've had a difficult time on the road holding their poise. And this is not an easy place to play. And there's a foul on Callaway. He fouls Moe.
Right now, the pace of this game is being set. The last 2 possessions, Indiana with turnovers. This is what Iowa thrives off of. They're not a team that can play defense for long stretches of time. They get impatient, quick turnovers, and you play right into their hands.
Iowa losing a very, very critical game to Ohio State. They feel they have to win 1 of their remaining 3 to get into the tournament. Maybe 2 of the 3 if you really get down to it. Due to that Sun Belt Conference tournament, it affects the tournament field drastically. 6-2 the Hoosiers. 17 and a half to go in the first half. Wright kicks it off to Banks. Good man-to-man defense. Indiana known so much for that. Gary Wright misses. They're taking some shots from outside that Raveling would prefer they did not take.
Indiana allowing no inside penetration. Their post defense has been outstanding here in the first 3 minutes.
That's been characteristic of Indiana, isn't it, Doug? That man-to-man, they play it as well as anybody in the country.
They get around on you, they deny passes inside, and they get outstanding help side defense to take away any lob passes for layups.
Here's Callaway. He had 21 points in the first game. Indiana 2 of 3 from the field, and now 3 of 4. Darryl Thomas. 8-2, the Hoosiers. Iowa's 0 for 2 from the field. They've scored 2 points on the free throws on the technical. Lorenzen in real trouble. Gets it to Wright. Kicks it to Moe. That's a tough shot.
Jeff Moe must absolutely see red when he plays the Hoosiers. His eyes get about the size of 50-cent pieces, but that was a tough shot, and he's the only man right now who has scored for this Iowa ball club.
Now here is this zone. It's kind of a matchup type zone in it, Doug. They move outside on you.
And watch Indiana. What they want to do, they want to move the ball side to side, get the defense overcommitted, and then try to get the ball inside right there to get something going towards the basket. They cannot depend strictly on Steve Alford's outside shooting. They want their attack to go inside out, not outside in.
Gary Wright committed the foul. That's his second. And baseline, Winston Morgan will inbounds for the Hoosiers, who lead by 4. Indiana last year missing the NCAA tournament. They're trying to come back in and win their 20th game today with 2 left on the road at Michigan State and Michigan. 16 minutes to go into Thomas, and twice now Harris has tried to feed him, couldn't do it, and now we have another foul on Iowa, and Raveling is up, and he doesn't understand that. It's on Moe.
Jeff Moe came over to give help against the little lob pass on the little alley-oop, and he was called with the blocking foul.
We're going to take our first break of this game with 15:59. Kind of a strange start. Indiana by 4.
There's a company today that ensures successful people coast to coast. Across America, we bring security and financial planning to people like you. We're Mass Mutual, and we insure more than lives. We insure success.
So what do you think about this Sunbird, Mom?
It's so red.
Yeah, and it's got front-wheel drive.
But it's so sporty.
Oh, come on, Mom. You're still young.
Ah, well, come on. Let's see what else they have.
Hey, that's my mom. Oh, wow, you got the Sunbird.
What do you think?
I think it's you, Mom.
You really think so?
Well, actually, it's more me.
Oh, will you stop? Get in here.
We build excitement, Pontiac.
Night training. It never stops for Mr. Goodwrench. Cars change. He changes. He picks from over 100 General Motors service schools to stay on the leading edge of service technology. He keeps up with fuel injection, turbocharger changes, new electronics, transaxle advances, you name it. He's trained to be good. He's trained to stay good. Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better. No one.
All-star MVP Isaiah Thomas has the Pistons on the move. They'll face Larry Bird and the league-leading Boston Celtics on CBS Sports next.
Doug, let's see how they're attacking this Iowa zone.
Well, they've got the defense expanded. You can see Indiana, the two guards are going to play catch with the ball. Watch the middle of the lane here, and the man is going to flash inside, and boom. That's where they would like to get the ball and attack inside. Nice job there by Indiana offensively to try to take advantage of that swarming Iowa defense.
A change now. Ed Horton, a freshman, number 25, is checked in for Iowa. Baseline to Harris. Air ball. Winston Morgan to follow. 10-4, Indiana. Banks out of the Chicago area, has those long arms, plays so effectively on defense. He's really an off guard, but they play him at the point spot.
Iowa needs to try to get a shot here for Roy Marble. They let him go too many stretches without getting a shot. He's their leading scorer, and that's been a problem. They must get him the basketball.
Good defense by Indiana. Moe, and Moe that time had a man in his face. Callaway with the rebound. See the quick leaping ability of Callaway. Alford. And Lorenzen crashes, but Harris is there. Iowa 1 of 4 from the field. And Iowa does not have a rebound in this game, Doug. 6 for Indiana.
Well, that's the key that George Raveling talked about to us yesterday. He said we must out-rebound Indiana by 10 right now. 6-0 and another steal.
Here comes Callaway. That's 4 turnovers against Iowa. They kick it out to Morgan, and now they'll have some patience. Nope, it goes into Harris. Harris in trouble. Oh, he pulled it out. Where did that come from?
Well, that was a circus shot from the hip as he was falling down.
Banks misses, and Lorenzen is fouled. Winston Morgan committing the foul. His first. You just get the feeling Iowa never has gotten their poise in this game.
That was not a good shot. That shot was way too quick. You're down 14-4. You've made a couple turnovers. They've gotten easy baskets in transition, although that last one was a very tough shot. You come down and you take the first shot, and that's not what you want to do because that plays right in Indiana's hands. Then you don't get any offensive rebounds.
Lorenzen considered by many to be the finest high school player to ever come out of the state of Iowa. He played at Kennedy High School in Cedar Rapids. He has slowly but surely picked up his game. Last year he averaged 6 points. He's up to almost 10 a game this season.
Let's see now if Iowa shows some kind of three-quarter trapping press. That's what they're going to show. They're going to try now to force a turnover. Indiana must be patient, move the ball from side to side, and try to get the ball in the middle.
We watched practice yesterday, and Indiana spent most of their practice doing this very thing, spreading it out, trying to handle that pressure defense. They trapped him in the corner. And in trouble was Callaway. Third turnover. Banks on the move, and Harris got a piece of it. That'll be goaltending. Harris is flying all over the place.
That was vintage Iowa basketball right there.
Reminder now, coming up next on CBS, the Pistons in the historic Garden against Boston. And I'll tell you, the Pistons are hot. They have a club record 10 straight wins going into that game.
How about the Celtics are 25-1 at home, the best record in the NBA at home.
We'll have a report at half on that. And here is a foul on Lorenzen reaching in, trying to stop Callaway's move to the baseline. Lorenzen with his first personal foul, 4 team fouls against the Hawkeyes, and Morgan will inbounds. You're talking about Marble. When we get Iowa with the ball next time, let's see if they get the ball to him. The last 5 possessions, he hasn't touched it. Here is Callaway. Is he smooth? We watched him, yes, he's got that leaning ability.
He has that quick first step. He's a slashing kind of player. If you give him a crease, he's able to get the ball and be able to go inside with it and score. And now another off-the-ball foul against Iowa, trying to post up inside. That's their second of the ball game.
So away from the ball, they're trying to get the control established early. That foul on Lorenzen, that's his second. He's going to sit down now. Bill Jones is checked into the lineup along with Brad Lojas. Lojas, a 7-foot junior out of Phoenix, Arizona. Marble didn't touch the ball the last time, so that's 6 possessions. And here comes Banks, and Alford will have the blocking foul.
You know, yesterday we were watching practice. Rick Callaway had a difficult time against the trapping defense. Bobby Knight told him something very interesting. He said, don't look at our players, look at the other players. And what he's doing now, the last 2 times, he has thrown the ball directly to a black jersey instead of looking for his own teammates' white jerseys, and that was a problem with yesterday in practice.
It was. He was after Callaway a lot, and you saw how he got trapped in that corner.
That's 2 turnovers in the last 2 possessions that Callaway's been trapped.
16-8, Indiana with the lead, 13.5 to go in the first half. Critical game for Iowa, and of course, Indiana trying to keep pace with Michigan in the Big Ten title chase. Missing is Horton. Lohan's rejected by Harris. Harris is like a jumping jack out there. And you see he and Horton going after each other, and Harris commits a foul. That's the first on Andre Harris. He almost pulled that one off, but did not. That's a 4th-team foul against Indiana.
He did an outstanding job in the low post. At the last moment, he reached with his hands. That's where the foul was committed. If he would have stayed with him with his body, the foul would not have been called.
Bob said they had to play tough against the pivot. They're not big in there. Their biggest man's 6'7", so they got to front those guys, and there's some pushing and shoving going on. Here's Jones out of Detroit, the sophomore. He started most of the games. Mo starting today in his place. There's Marble. He touches the ball, and look what happens.
You got to get him shots. He needs to get about 15 shots a game up there. He's an outstanding offensive player, and he just creates so many opportunities for this Iowa Hawkeye team.
You see from above how they're attacking this pressing defense. And they handled it very well. Look to the bench. Bobby Knight yelling something in. Inside Thomas.
That play right there was a clinic play and execution, using their time, running 2 cutters through the heart of the defense. The second man was wide open as the matchup zone had to pick up the first man. Darryl Thomas wide open for the layup.
Doug, they've had a lot of trouble with that, Iowa has, where they attacked the middle of that defense. And they worked on it, but that time, obviously, Indiana was able to execute it. And another foul away from the ball. They are really calling a lot of these. Darryl Thomas this time, his first 15 foul. I don't think I've seen a game where they call more off-ball fouls than we've had here.
I think they realize the fact that both of these teams, speaking of the officials, are very aggressive ball clubs. They don't want the agitation that goes away off the ball to create any kind of situation where a player would lose his cool and there'd be an incident on the floor.
Here's Jones shaking loose. Jones, who is a high school teammate of Antoine Jobert, the starter at Michigan. They played at Southwestern High School. And all of a sudden now they've climbed within 6. 18-12. Indiana with the lead. Thus far, Iowa still 4 of 10, starting to get a little bit better. Indiana shooting very well. But they've had the good percentage shots, too, the layups. Alford fakes him beautifully. Rebound, Harris. He may load it up and fire it again. This time off balance. The basket will count, and he's fouled by Jones. First foul on Jones. I tell you, Alford, it wasn't pretty, but it was effective.
Well, Alford misses his first jump shot, which is, you don't see something happen. He's going to give a pump fake, and he's going to get in the lane, something he does not do very often. He depends so much on that jump shot. He got the roll, and his free throw is almost automatic. Usually he doesn't even touch the rim.
Alford has not been known to draw that kind of contact. They've been concerned about that, but he did there. He has a three-point play. Indiana now bumps it up to 21-12.
Man, skiing sure is fun. You run into lots of nice people out there.
Yeah, we ran into Corky yesterday.
That's for sure.
And afterward, there's nothing like a warm fire.
I'll see.
And a cold Miller Lite. Light really tastes great.
And it's less filling. And us hot doggers don't like to get filled up. Speaking of hot dogs, where's Euchre?
You!
Great seats, hey, buddy! Hey, where are all the guys? They're missing all the fun!
For great taste, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Can you guess which truck is priced lower than the top 5 compact pickups in America? Okay, so you needed a hint. Well, now you can get that low-price Isuzu for even less. Because Isuzu's offering 8.6% financing on all their 1986 pickups. And when Isuzu's are selling with 8.6% financing, you'd better be ready to move fast. Don't miss the 8.6 financing from Isuzu, the first car builders of Japan.
There's no such thing as a small business. Not when it's yours.
So my insurance agent has to protect my business and my family without wasting my time or my money.
An agent with a financial plan, custom made for me, with regular reviews because my needs are always changing.
An agent who brings me the best and strongest insurance company he can.
We're Mass Mutual, and we insure more than lives. We insure success.
Near the conclusion of today's broadcast, Doug Collins and I will be selecting a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team, and Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. It looked like Iowa was starting to get it together a little bit, and then Alford comes through with a three-point play and kind of knocks that charge, that attempt to come back, puts it in the rears for a while.
Well, that's why it's so important to have a player like Steve Alford, a momentum stopper who can get it back in your favor. He hit it with a great three-point play, but that's why you're able to call his number, and he's able to convert those things for you.
Banks, Marble, Jones, Lojas, the junior at 7 foot. Rebound cleared effectively by, you guessed it, Harris. Harris has 4 rebounds. 11 minutes to go in this first half. Morgan completely out of control. He travels with the ball. Bodies going everywhere, but they get the traveling call. 5 turnovers against Indiana. Morgan is the guy who broke his foot a couple of years ago, and Bob felt that he never really got back to where he was prior to the injury.
Well, when you have to sit out for a year, it's very difficult, and sometimes you come back and you're psychologically not ready to make those same cuts off that foot, and your whole game changes.
Into Lojas again, kicks it out to Jones. Again, good defense by Indiana. Here's Marble. Jones has the rebound. He had Harris in front of him. Rebound cleared by Horton. Ed Horton, Mr. Basketball of Illinois last year out of Springfield, and he's an excellent offensive rebounder.
Multiple shot opportunities. That was the 4th shot that Iowa finally got up and in, but that's the way they've got to crash the offensive boards against this smaller Indiana front line.
Indiana still in with the 5 that opened the ball game, with 10 minutes remaining in this first half. Again, the patience, and that's what Bob Knight wanted to have, was to try to make him break down defensively. Callaway the cutter, 9 seconds on the shot clock. He's trapped in trouble. Gets out of there, and Harris tried to follow. Callaway on the rebound. Still doesn't get it, and it comes back to Ricky again. Great effort by Callaway. The basket will count. However, he's going to be charged with the foul. That was good effort by Callaway. He's not that strong. They want to get him on the weights, but he showed a lot of tenacity here.
Well, great perseverance. He takes it up. After he missed one shot, he's going to get the second one. He's going to miss this one, but he hangs with it again. And here's the kind of player he is, a slasher that gets inside. He did draw the charge, but the concentration, he did get the basket, and that's the important thing.
And so, with 9:30 to go in the first half, Indiana with a 23-14 lead in this critical Big Ten game. I'm Gary Bender along with Doug Collins. As Winston Morgan tries to come up with a steal, it'll be Iowa's basketball. Each team with 6 team fouls. Both teams have a technical on Mr. Knight and Mr. Raveling. And now substitution, Gary Wright will check in. As you can see, Indiana leading by 5 in the rebounding department.
Again, the rebounding will be the key today. George Raveling, so they must out-rebound them by 10. They're down by 5. I thought they were going to get back into it, Gary, with a sequence on the offensive board, but then they let Indiana come down and do the same thing right to them and get the basket back.
Indiana has all year long been about even in the rebounding department, and there's a traveling call on Banks. That's 6 turnovers. George Raveling, who had such an outstanding career at Washington State, an assistant coach on Bobby Knight's Olympic team in '84. And his team, 18-10 coming into today. And they may have to win this game and one of the 2 remaining games at home against Illinois and Purdue to get into the NCAA tournament. Alford with the respect he deserves. Here's Winston Morgan. Lohaus with a rebound.
Not a good play by Lohaus. I thought he was going to throw the ball into the stands with a long pass.
Here's Banks. Andre Banks been shooting over 50% from the field, has 4 points. And again, you get the idea, Iowa kind of clawing back into this ball game.
Let's see if Indiana goes to Alford to break the ice here. He's been the man who's answered with the big baskets when they needed him early in the game.
That was intended for Callaway. Somehow Harris comes up with it, and they're going to call a foul on Iowa. That foul is going to go on Jones, his second. At halftime, we told you about teams on the fence. We'll look at some of the clubs who are holding their breath as we will be coming into the pairing show a week from today. And then a look ahead to that Pistons-Celtics game from the Boston Garden and the America Cup Gymnastics, the championships preview. Christy Phillips, America's new sweetheart, will be on that show, and Timmy Daggett, the Olympic gold medal winner. So we have a very, very busy day here on CBS. Harris missing the free throw, and we're going to have a held ball, and it will go to Iowa. Indiana's a good free throw shooting team. Indiana's a good shooting team. They're 9th in the nation in field goal percentage, shooting 74% from the line.
You know, yesterday talking to Bob Knight, he said, you know, we're not a great shooting team. And I looked at him, he said, you know, not like my teams in the past. We just make sure we get good shots, and that's the difference.
And the percentages show it. Callaway trying to retrieve. Oh, what a play. No, they're going to wave it off. Forget the basket. He traveled with the ball. Callaway trying to establish position at the midcourt line. Double dribbled the ball. As an end result, the basket will not count.
I'm not so sure he ever got control of that ball. We see the end result of the play, but when he kicked the ball loose, I'm not so sure he ever had possession before he dribbled. That was a very, very close call.
A discontinued dribble is what they call it. A lot of you know it as a double dribble, but we picked up the last part, so I didn't see on that replay what actually did get called, but waved the basket off, and it's 23-16 Indiana. Inside 8 minutes to go in the first half. Kevin Gamble has checked into the lineup for Iowa. Wright has it rejected. Alford, and as he drives in, he walked with the ball. That's a good point. You know, Alford, Doug, really doesn't get a lot of baskets off of drives. He has to have that shot from outside.
He works so hard for every possession, and that time he tried to draw the contact. He shuffled his foot and was called for the traveling violation, but he did make the shot, so there's a three-point play taken away.
And 2 baskets wiped away because of the traveling violation. 7:41 left in the first half.
Think about your life, where you've been, and where you're going.
To the new Vice President.
Today, you need more than life insurance. You need a financial plan to take you where you want to go. We're Mass Mutual, and we insure more than lives. We insure success.
Are you anything like my brother Jack? He figured the only way to get into a serious road car was to go empty his bank account and buy something from the Black Forest. But I talked him into driving a Mazda 626. Now he's going around telling everyone he knows about refinements, like the better aerodynamics, the new fuel injection, and the great performance. But the way I figured, I saved old Jack about $7,000 bucks. You think I'll ever see any of it?
No way.
That's what I thought.
Slattery, the computer network's down. Call the service rep.
His ship docks in 6 weeks, sir.
6?
There's a typhoon in Osaka. We should have gone with Harris.
Who's Harris, and why should we go to Osaka with him?
Harris, the big high-technology company, with a nationwide service network for their information and communications systems.
Perfect. Call Harris, then find the idiot who chose this equipment.
That would be you, sir.
Mistakes happen, Slattery.
For your information, our name is Harris.
U.S. Olympic champion Tim Taggart will face stiff competition from the Soviet bloc and from China at the American Cup Gymnastics Championships today on CBS Sports Sunday.
Doug Collins, let's reconstruct that last move down the floor by Alford.
Well, let's watch Steve here in the open floor. He's going to try to get the ball inside. He does a nice job penetrating. One thing that Bob Knight has worked with him is avoiding contact. He pump fakes. Gary Wright is in the air. He ducks his head to avoid the contact. When you get a man in the air like that, you've got to make him foul you. You can't avoid the contact. And Steve Alford, when he learns to get that contact, he will start living on that free throw line and take advantage of the fact that he's a 90% free throw shooter.
So the basket was waved off. It's 23-16, Indiana with the lead. 7.5 minutes to go in the first half. We mentioned Gamble is in the lineup. He's a junior college transfer, an excellent shooter. Rebound clear by Thomas. Thomas and Harris, they don't have the size of some people, but they have outstanding timing in the rebounding. Callaway out to Morgan. Alford quickly puts it up. That's his game, outside to shoot the perimeter shot.
I like the fact that Indiana has the intelligence to make sure when they need a basket, they know who to go to. Alford is the man that responds. That's great patience and awareness by the Hoosiers.
What do they call that, the money man?
That's exactly right. And also, you got to give the credit to his teammates to look for him when they need him.
He has 9 points. 25-16 in Iowa now. Have some problems with man-to-man. Bill Jones, air ball. Horton is there. That's what Horton will do well. And while he's not had a great freshman year, George Raveling feels he'll be an impact player in a couple of years when he gets some more experience, learns to play in a structured game. 25-18. Indiana 6:22 first half. And there's a foul on the man we were just talking about, Ed Horton. Horton out of Springfield, Illinois. He and Gamble were high school teammates. Gamble then went on to junior college at Lincoln, Illinois. And now Moe will come back in. Marble will come in as Jones will leave. Also coming out as Horton and Gamble as Lojas comes into the game.
Very correctly if I'm right here, but I don't think Indiana has made a substitution in the ballgame. I don't think anybody else has played except their 5 starters. On the other hand, Iowa really doing a lot of shuffling of players. They've gone 9 deep on their bench right now. Maybe fatigue will be a factor later in this game. The intensity with which both of these teams are playing, we'll have to watch for that.
Harris has missed his 2 free throw attempts, but he gets the roll on the field goal attempt. 27-18. Here is Moe, who just checked back into the ball game. Marble and Callaway really bumping inside. Banks. Look at Harris. Is he something to watch, Doug? He is fouled by Lojas. Harris now is 6'6". He's out of Grand Rapids. He played at Barton County Junior College. That's in Great Bend, Kansas. And he, along with Todd Jadlow, 2 junior college players from the same team, coming to the Indiana Hoosiers this year.
Gary, I noticed that Kansas has to get that little plug in there. Is that because you're from Kansas?
Well, no one probably knows where Barton County Junior College is.
Is that near Ulysses, Kansas?
Not really. That's at least 2 days in a covered wagon.
Gary, you know, one thing interesting about Andre Harris, he came in as a junior college player. And my experience with junior college players is that it takes a while to get them involved in what you want to do. They played 2 years at a junior college. You bring them in, and if you can get a good 1.5 years out of a junior college player, you're getting a lot. And I think that that's what's starting to happen with Andre Harris. The last half of the season, he has exploded because of the fact that he is now confident in his role with this Indiana team, and he has really played well for them.
First substitution, Stu Robinson comes in. I'll tell you another thing about Harris is the academics. It's tough to make that adjustment from the JC to the college level. So there's a lot that you have to go through, and that was a good point, Doug, about 1.5 years. And the second half of the year, he's been something. And there he is again. They say he's the best athlete on this team, and I can understand why Bob Knight would say that he has 6 rebounds in the game. Thomas, a lean in. Look at Harris. Raveling thought that was offensive interference. He is up and roaming the sideline.
Iowa right now needs a good possession. They've taken quick shots. Marble must get something going here.
Biggest lead of the game now. 12 by Indiana. Marble Marble changes his shot, gives it to Jerry Wright, and they call him Sir Jam-a-Lot. You can see why. Gary Wright can sky.
Give the credit to Marble, though. He took the ball and he created, got two players to come to him and dished to Gary Wright, who made the spectacular play underneath.
Gary Wright, a transfer from the University of Southern California. He's been their most consistent player down the stretch. Harris kicks it out to Alford. You know what I like about him, Doug? Something you had. He loads it up in a hurry.
And also, you got to give credit there to Andre Harris. He felt the double team and kicked it back out. That's Indiana's game plan. Get it inside and kick it out. Now Alford will be shooting open shots.
Lojas has had an up and down season. I was curious that Coach Raveling felt that Rad's had a little confidence problem. And when he came out of high school, he and Mark Allery in the Phoenix, Arizona area, Allery, of course, at Duke now, Lojas was considered the better of the two prospects. And you know what kind of year Allery is having for the top-ranked Duke Blue Devils. 10-point lead now for Indiana. Thomas in traffic and stripped to the ball, and they're going to get Brad Lojas for the foul. Second foul on the 7-footer. Let's look now at the rebounding edge in this game as Indiana continues to build it. And they said, Bob said we have to out-rebound them by 10 to win, and they're on track for that. And look at the second chance points.
That's the difference in the game right there. Indiana banging that offensive board. Callaway, Andre Harris, and Daryl Thomas have lived on that offensive boards. You can play very good initial defense, but if you do not rebound, it means nothing other than the fact you've expended a lot of energy.
Indiana's had 7 offensive boards to follow up what you were talking about as Thomas hits both free throws. Horton will come back in. They're going to try to get him on the boards. That's what they need. It's interesting to me, Doug, that you look on paper at Indiana, and their tallest starters 6'7", you say they can't stay on the board with some teams. But you can see it's really misrepresented when you see a guy like Harris, the way he can jump.
Well, you fundamentally, when you block out also, you don't necessarily have to rebound above the rim if you block out. And this Indiana team does a nice job of keeping you on their back.
Now we have a foul that's going to go on Horton, and Thomas is hurt. He caught something in the face, probably his elbow.
A little elbow by Horton in the post. Thomas was banging him. Let's see if we can see it happen. It's going to happen right there with the left arm. And the elbow foul was called, so Daryl Thomas now will be shooting. I don't know if they're going to call it a 2-shot foul.
They are, I believe. It's a 2-shot foul.
That's 3 fouls on Iowa today, posting up. They've had 3 possessions taken away and offensive fouls called on post-up plays.
Lojas is going to come right back into the ball game, and so Horton will come out, and obviously this partisan Indiana crowd letting him know what they think of that. Thomas to the line, apparently okay. Darrell out of Westchester, Illinois, St. Joseph High School, and interestingly enough, that's the same high school as Isaiah Thomas, but they're not related, even though they have the last name the same. Thomas now has hit 3 in a row from the line. He has 9 points. To a 36-22 lead with 4 minutes to go in the first half. Indiana, right now, they're in control.
You've either got to be a little crazy to take a long trip in a small truck, or you got to have the right truck. If you go drive one of these new Mazdas, you'll never know how good a small truck can be. This SE5 is really a kick to drive. It's got all kinds of room inside. It's quiet and quick. And even though its price might lead you to believe it's some kind of bare-bones truck, believe it or not, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, and there's plenty of room back here for what you got today, Mr. Garner.
Bosses don't believe there's a difference between memory writers from Xerox and typewriters from you-know-who. Ha! Bosses, begin. Both correct errors and censor automatically, but memory writers have boldface, automatic table setup, and outstanding touch and feel. They're also quiet and much easier to learn and use. So, perfect documents are a snap. Take a long lunch.
For perfect documents every time. Call Team Xerox.
Where I come from, folks stand proud and tall. You know they're always sincere. It's where your word is your word. A friend's a friend, and Miller's the beer. Miller's made the American way. Born and brewed in the USA.
Miller beer contains no additives, no preservatives.
Miller's made the American way.
Indiana's won 4 NCAA titles, the last 2 under Bob Knight in 76 and 81. And one of the players in 81 was Isaiah Thomas. You're going to see him next as his Detroit Pistons take on the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I think the greatest compliment I ever heard paid to Isaiah Thomas was Julius Erving. Dr. J said pound for pound, he was the best basketball player he had ever seen. That's quite a compliment.
And what did Bob Knight said? He says he's an unbelievably tough kid.
I can believe that.
36-22. Indiana with the lead. 3:51 left in this first half. Indiana getting very good balance scoring. Alford with 11, Thomas with 10, Harris with 9. Iowa has no one over 4 points. Here's Mo. Not the Mo they saw in the first game when he hit 10 of 16 from the field.
We also see Iowa doing nothing but shooting perimeter jump shots. They've got nothing going inside. Indiana's post defense has been outstanding. Their outside shots not going. As a result, no second shot.
Theirs is going, and Wright has picked up his 3rd foul.
How about this, though? This play is not only going to be the jumper's is going to count, but they're going to give him a 1-and-1 free throw because they're going to say the shot or the foul was committed after the shot. This will be a 4-point play.
Iowa just doesn't have anything going their way right now. Banks comes back into the ballgame. B.J. Armstrong, a freshman, was in there very briefly. And Indiana now with their biggest lead of the game. That foul on Wright was his 3rd. And Alford at the line now. Alford has always been an outstanding free throw shooter. He's shooting 86% this year. Last year he shot 92%.
He's got the same little routine that a great free throw shooter out of Kentucky, Kyle Macy, has, and that's he likes to go down and grab those socks, get himself on the line. And we watch him here. He'll go down, grab his socks. He does the same thing before every shot. There's his socks. Gets himself together, goes up. It's what you call having a pre-shot routine, and he does it the best.
Gets the shooter's roll.
All you young kids out there watching, get your routine at the free throw line. Do the same thing on every shot, and your percentage will be much better.
And those to help your golf game, too.
Yeah, helps me throw clubs better.
Alford now with 15 points in the game. 40-22. Marble, Harris, and that's going to be goaltended. He is something to watch. Andre Harris. If you've never watched him before, this is Doug and my first opportunity to see him, and he is a spectacular player.
You know, that's not a bad goaltend right there. What that does is let you know, hey, I'm in here, and the next time you come in here, I want you looking for me. So at that point, that's not really a bad violation there on Andre Harris.
Stu Robinson travels with the ball. That's 8 turnovers against IU. 40-24. Indiana with the lead. You get the feeling Iowa somehow does going to have to get the ball inside.
They've got to. They've got to get it inside and get to the free throw line. I think they've only shot 4 free throws in the first half.
Lojas, tough shot, but he gets the roll. That'll help his confidence.
Get it in there. That's where the fouls are committed. Indiana's too well schooled. They're not going to foul you on the perimeter and put you on the free throw line.
And they're back out now with that zone press. Alford hung up, got it off to Stu Robinson. Here is Robinson, the senior out of Henderson, Indiana. And he joins in the scoring derby, makes it 42-26. Everybody that's played today for Indiana scored as Robinson gets his first 2. Into Lojas again, and they go inside to the big junior. This time Harris is there with the rebound. 9 rebounds for the 6'6" junior. 2 minutes left to go in the first half as a spinning move by Harris. This crowd is ignited. 44-26. Remember now, Iowa's won 3 straight over Indiana. 3 of the last 5 here in Bloomington. And in to score is Hill. That's Kent Hill, a sophomore out of Wichita. Has not played all that much, only averaging 1.9 a game, but he gets the seasonal average at that point. 1.5, you see the time left in the first half. Iowa has 9 rebounds, Doug, and Andre Harris has 9.
Well, he's just been a man on the boards all day long, and his offense is what's been tough today, too. He's posting up. We see him now running the ball inside.
Alford loads it up. Darryl Thomas, and a foul will go on Lojas. Doug, they're just quick jumpers. They are positioning themselves, and they're beating Iowa to the ball.
They're negating Iowa's quickness. Iowa's supposed to be the team with the great quickness, but it appears to me that Indiana just wants it a little bit more today. When the ball goes up, they feel that that rebound belongs to them, and they're just out battling Iowa right now on every trip down the floor.
Darryl Thomas this year has been shooting 76% from the line. Rojas lost it. He and Hill fighting over the ball. Winston Morgan. And Harris almost got the follow. Thomas does not, and Morgan does. Banks on the move. And he is fouled. Horton will come back in. Gamble will come back in at the first opportunity for Iowa. They got to find somebody to get on the boards with Indiana.
Well, missed a free throw, and they get 4 opportunities for a tip-in. Andre Harris makes a spectacular over-the-shoulder tip. It doesn't go. Another shot, and then Winston Morgan with the tip-in. So right now, Iowa really out of sync, and it just seems like they can find nothing to work for them. Andre Banks tried to take it into his own hands and drove the length of the floor and did get to the free throw line.
Now Harris leaves, and listen to the crowd. That's Steve Isle, a sophomore out of Hamilton, Ohio, coming in, who they think's the second best athlete on this team. And Banks gets the roll, and it's been a long time since they've been on the scoreboard. There's Harris. Harris in high school played at Iowa Hills in Grand Rapids. Then on to junior college. Banks follows his miss and gets the three-point play. 46-31. That's the time remaining now. At half on the fence, we'll talk about teams who hopefully are going to get in the NCAA. And here's the steal. It's one of the few steals they've had on this pressing defense. Will kick it out to Mo.
They should hope for the last shot here. They try to go in down 13.
And the miss inside, followed by Marble. Marble so smooth. He came in here 10 points short of the Iowa freshman scoring record set by Ronnie Lester as we come now to the end of this first half. 46-33. Alford will bring it out, and they'll go for the last shot.
Well, you want to keep it away from Steve Alford. Don't let him penetrate and take the last shot.
2 seconds. You're going to have to hurry. He pumps it up. And we come to the close of this first half. Let's check now as we leave you with the scoring. Banks with 7 for Iowa. Alford with 15 in the first half of play. That's the end of the first half. For the score, Indiana 46, Iowa 33. We'll return after this commercial and a word from your local station.
There are lots of new things going on in healthcare. And this new healthcare can be good if there's someone who really cares for you. That's why nearly 80 million people carry the Blue Cross and Blue Shield card. But this message isn't for those who do. It's for those who don't.
One, two, three. Together we can make it the best run yet. Singing in harmony.
When it all comes together, it's not just good, it's awesome.
Oh, it's a good time for the great taste
of McDonald's.
Tonight, it was an accident. It was murder, and nothing could stop her from finding the killer.
Please stop this car.
Come along for the ride on Murder, She Wrote.
This is CBS.
Today, most people treat their small change like it was no big deal. But right now at Hardee's,
The Big Deluxe, please.
a little change adds up to the thickest, juiciest quarter-pound burger of them all. Just 99 cents for Hardee's new Big Deluxe. A lot of burger for not a lot of change.
Hardee's, where good people go for good food.
Louisville is a city of many hospitals, but for southern Indiana, affordable hospital care is closer to home. For 62 years, Jeffersonville's Clark County Hospital has provided outstanding medical service. Clark County Hospital's medical professionals provide 36 areas of specialization and 24-hour emergency care. Southern Indiana, here's one bridge you don't have to cross. Clark County Hospital. Quality care for Kentuckiana.
Made in Japan, a special report starting Monday at 11.
An impressive first half for the Hoosiers of Indiana, who lead the Hawkeyes 46-33. You know, a week from today, the bids go out for the 64-team field in the NCAA tournament. Now, Brown is already in. They've won the Ivy League championship. The Sun Belt Conference tournament has really given the committee some problems. Jacksonville won the Sun Belt Conference tourney title, defeating the University of Alabama Birmingham last night. Now the question is, how many teams go from the Sun Belt? Do you also take Old Dominion and Western Kentucky? Those are the kind of problems that are going to be posed to the committee. 29 bids will go automatically due to tournament and league championships. Who are the other teams? Well, the committee is faced with that challenge, and today we're going to show you some of the teams on the fence. One of the teams on the fence is DePaul. The Blue Demons' hands are tied when it comes to making the tournament, for as an independent, they have no conference tournament that could help salvage a disappointing season. The win over St. John's last week helped, but that was followed by a lackluster loss to Notre Dame and a loss last night against UCLA. Even with a tough schedule they play, like it or not, DePaul at 15-12 is in a tough spot.
I don't think there's any doubt we're one of the top 64, but I'm not the one that makes that decision, so we're just going to have to sit and wait.
The fans of West Virginia are concerned. Last year, the Mountaineers won 20 games and didn't make the NCAAs. This year, Atlantic 10 rivals Temple and St. Joe's have better records, so even with 22 wins, West Virginia fears that history may repeat itself.
I'm not sure. You know, I don't really want to leave that up to the committee. I'd like to really just go win the tournament and say, hey, we're in.
Lefty Drizel's not worried. Maryland's record isn't overwhelming, but when you play in the ACC and can beat North Carolina on plays like this one, Lefty figures he has it made.
We'll definitely get an NCAA bid. I don't think there's any question about it. If we don't, then it'd be the biggest ripoff since the Louisiana Purchase or something.
How can New Mexico State, with a record of 16-11 in the PCAA conference, make the tournament? Well, hopefully the selection committee will enjoy the opening to Coach McCarthy's TV show, and that will sway them.
Aggie basketball is on the rise.
He's on the fence. 46-33. Now, coming up, after we come back, we'll be going to the historic Boston Garden. Pat O'Brien will give us a report on that game coming up between Detroit and Boston.
Nothing clears my head better than a romp down a road like this. If that doesn't make sense to you, then this car probably won't either. The new generation Mazda RX-7 pours out power as smooth as silk, as only a rotary can. And nothing has a more advanced suspension system, so you track through turns like you're on rails. You can pay a whole lot more for a sports car and still not have this much fun.
Say, aren't you the driver of this new RX-7?
Hi.
Hi.
You finally get the answer, and now you can't wait to tell someone. Here at Hewlett-Packard, we never stop thinking about how our business computing equipment can be used to solve your company's problems. It's the Hewlett-Packard way of doing things. We're always asking, what if?
I've got it. They need easy access to their database, right? What if we used the personal productivity?
Billy D. Williams talks about having a good time.
When it comes to having a good time, I've got it down to a science. First, you get yourself into the right clothes. Then you get Colt 45. And make sure you got enough for you and that someone special. And then you get yourself to a good time place. The rest is easy.
The dynamite taste of Colt 45. It works every time.
Hello, hello, hello.
Some have it, some don't. Afrin doesn't have it. Dristan doesn't have it. Only Sinex has it for stuffy noses.
Ooh.
That quick feeling of relief from instantly penetrating Vicks vapors, plus a powerful decongestant that opens nasal passages so you breathe freely.
Ah, complete relief.
For hours and hours. Sinex has it for instant and complete relief in regular and 12-hour extra strength.
From Vicks, of course.
46-33 here. Immediately following this game, we'll go to a place that just has unbelievable history, the Boston Garden. For a report on that game, here's Pat O'Brien.
Thank you very much, Gary. And Boston Garden will indeed be sold out once again today as the Celtics meet the red-hot Detroit Pistons. They're coming to the parquet floor with a 10-game winning streak. But Isaiah Thomas and company will have to face this man, Larry Bird, who was anointed by Sports Illustrated this week as the living legend. And one of the reasons Larry is smiling these days is that he is indeed at the top of his profession. He is perhaps the most dedicated basketball player in the NBA. He's the first to arrive and the last to leave, and his preparation results in plays like that, and he is a solid favorite for his third straight MVP award. It is the Detroit Pistons, the red-hot Detroit Pistons, against the Celtics. If you're a basketball fan, this is where you want to be, as Dick Stockton, Tommy Heinsohn, and I bring you all the action. Following that, it's another edition of Sports Sunday, and for a report on that, let's go now to John Tesh.
Later today on CBS Sports Sunday, live, our country's most prestigious international gymnastics meet. It's the 1986 American Cup, an event that showcases the world's greatest gymnasts from 18 countries. Last year, American Olympic gold medalist Mary Lou Retton and Tim Daggett swept the competition. Well, this year, Tim Daggett has returned, but must defend his title against some of the world's very best. And for the women, you'll see national champion Sabrina Marr, as well as 13-year-old Christy Phillips. Bella Caroli's protege and Mary Lou Retton's heir apparent stands on the threshold of becoming the new darling of American gymnastics. So be sure to join us for the 1986 American Cup later today, live on CBS Sports Sunday.
Beautiful day, huh?
Yep. Hi. How you doing? I had a little trouble keeping up with you.
Is that you back there?
Yeah, some road, huh?
Sure is.
Hey, how do you like your Grand Am?
Love it. Really handles.
Well, I guess you just flat disappeared from me back there, man. What engine you running?
3-liter V6.
Fuel injected?
Oh, yeah. Thought maybe I'll see you next time through.
Yeah, hey, maybe next time I'll have a,
Yeah.
Now, for the power computer user who demands performance, Radio Shack introduces the Tandy 3000, the more powerful and more affordable IBM PC AT compatible. Here's the power to manage your business, utilize computer networking, or create a multi-user system. The Tandy 3000, the power to put you in command. Tandy, clearly superior, in business for business, only at Radio Shack Computer Centers.
If you expect an engine to start quick, work hard, and last long, remember, the easiest job a Briggs & Stratton engine will ever do is mow your lawn. Ask for Briggs & Stratton, the power in power equipment.
Are your homeowner's insurance bills swallowing a little too much of your budget? There is something you can do about it.
Leave it to the good hands, people.
Come into Allstate and compare.
I'll be in menswear.
We'll do everything we can to save you some money.
There you are, sir. Nice shirt. Well, thanks. Looks like I get to keep it.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Indiana still very much in the Big Ten title chase. Very impressive in the first half. And Doug Collins, I just felt their intensity was much greater than Iowa's.
I think so, too. And when you look at it, the game is actually a little bit more critical for Iowa in terms of their NCAA bid. But Indiana just wanted the ball more today, went to the boards, and they were all over the floor.
Andre Harris has been something to watch in the first half. We've just been raving and ranting about him. Now, he's already ahead of his seasonal average at the halfway point of this game. And let's look at a couple of his plays. They were just spectacular. Number 34, Andre Harris.
Well, first of all, he makes a great catch here on the lob pass. He sort of stumbles as the player comes over to give help. And watch the shot. This just sort of typifies the afternoon he's had. A spectacular shot there from Andre Harris.
And then watch this follow. His leaping ability is something to talk about.
Well, he's a quick leaper, and he's got excellent hands around the basket. Let's watch him here. The ball goes up, a nice soft tip in, and that's the one that George Raveling thought was offensive goaltending.
Now, Indiana, Bob Knight told us last night they needed to win this battle by 10. Well, they're well on their way right now.
Well, 23-10 on the boards, and Indiana, I think the second shots we're going to see a little bit later will even prove our point more. Here we go, 21-9. The 12-point difference is a 13-point game, so right there it's the difference in the game.
Well, if you're Iowa, what are you going to do to get back in this thing?
I think the difficult thing right now for Iowa is they depended so much rebounding-wise on their athletic ability, and they haven't blocked out. They're going to have to try to block out and then try to get the ball up the floor and get easy shots. They are not creating any opportunities off turnovers, and Indiana is using that to their advantage.
And I get the feeling that George Raveling was desperately trying to find the right combinations. So they've got a real steep uphill climb in the second half. We'll return to Assembly Hall after this commercial message and a word from your local station.
There's a sporty vehicle that offers you so much variety, it fits right in with today's active lifestyles. The tough Ford Bronco 2. It's a hit with the jet set, and the wet set, the trail set, and the sail set, the tow set, the snow set, the angler set, and the wrangler set. Ford Bronco 2, around town or up in the mountains. You know it's built tough. The best built American trucks are built Ford Tough.
You don't get to be the biggest beer in America unless you make a great beer. And making a great beer isn't easy. That's why when it comes to better brewing, there's only one beer that can beat the biggest. A beer that's fully croisoned for natural carbonation and smoothness, and brewed with pure artesian brewing water. Heileman's Old Style from La Crosse, Wisconsin. Old Style, America's best brewed premium beer.
Next Saturday, Big Ten powers Indiana and Michigan will collide. Next Sunday, a tournament preview, and later the tournament selection show on CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
It's here, our annual GE inventory clearance sale with gigantic savings on selected General Electric major appliances. This once-a-year event is your big chance for super savings on a wide selection of refrigerators, dishwashers, microwave ovens, ranges, washers, and dryers. Don't miss out. Come in today for big savings during our GE inventory clearance sale.
You can't get a better deal anywhere. Smith's guarantees it. Woo! Smith's Furniture, that's who.
The fun, all the shows A to Z and the facts. What's behind what you see, TV Guide, the whole world of TV. That's entertainment, the stars, underneath all the glow and the news. From the people who know TV Guide, it's a fabulous show. So buy a TV Guide and read TV Guide. That's entertainment.
A special report on mercy killing, tonight on Action 11 News.
The Big Ten Conference completed its 90th season of football competition this past fall with one of its most successful years. The conference won 80% of its non-league games and sent 6 teams into postseason bowl games. Over 4 million football fans saw the Big Ten produce the nation's leader in rushing, pass efficiency, total offense, and receiving. The conference is now in the midst of another exciting basketball season after league teams won over 80% of their December non-league battles. Big Ten women's sports are among the best in the nation, with 12 conference championships now conducted on an annual basis. In addition, non-revenue sports like wrestling, hockey, and cross-country are currently among the nation's best. But it's the nationally renowned academic reputation which distinguishes Big Ten universities, where tomorrow's leaders in research, technology, and higher education are ready to meet today's challenge. Today's game between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Indiana Hoosiers is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Team Xerox, the right products and right people all working together. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
Beginning the second half now. In that first half, Doug, George Raveling trying to find the right combinations. He wanted Roy Marble to get the ball more, and it did not happen.
You know, that's where his team has got to make sure he gets it. I think that's the difference between Indiana, is they make sure that Alford gets the ball.
And Harris starts off where he ended, hitting his 12th of 13 points. Now, we'll talk a little bit about Marble. He's their leading scorer, but he just disappears out there.
Well, he's got to make himself available to the basketball. He's got to want it at all times. He can't allow himself to float on the perimeter and take himself out of the game either.
That was a strong move by Gary Wright. Makes it 48-35. The biggest lead in the first half was 18 points by Indiana. Indiana had 3 guys in the first half go all the way. Alford, who had 15 points in the first. No, on the steal.
Ricky Callaway, that's his 5th turnover of the game. He just turned, and for the 3rd time, threw the ball right directly to an Iowa player.
How is that? You play like you practice? He was having that problem yesterday. Retrieved by Harrison. That's what I'm talking about, Doug. They seem to get all the loose balls. They seem to come up with a second chance points, just a little more intensity. And there is going to be a charge on Winston Morgan.
Well, Winston Morgan did not use good judgment here. He was 1 on 4, and he tried to take it to the basket. Let's watch what Winston Morgan sees. Count the defensive players back for Iowa. He's 1 on 4, no Indiana player in the picture, and an offensive foul, and that's the kind of plays that will allow Iowa to get back in the game. They must be patient.
That's the kind of plays that the senior Bob Knight does not like. And there is a drastic difference in the field goal percentage in the first half. Callaway. That shows you the speed and the open floor of the freshman. Out of Withrow High School in Cincinnati, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. It hasn't been announced yet, but it's a shoe-in. Here's Wright again, and Wright now is picking up a little bit as he scored 2 early in the second half. Iowa needs this game. It's a critical game. Some thought they need to win 2 of the remaining 3 games to get into the NCAA tournament. Their 2 games remaining are at home against Illinois and Purdue, both of which will be very tough for them as Callaway scores again. Indiana, on the other hand, trying to pull back into a tie for first with Michigan, who moved a half game ahead by their win over Northwestern yesterday. Iowa calls the timeout at the 18:01 mark, and George Raveling still has not found the right formula. His team down 52-37.
Give me a light. A Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Case of light? No, Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
A Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else
Thanks.
is just a light.
There's a time to think about life insurance, and State Farm is there.
I'm State Farm agent Mike Callan. The biggest reasons young parents start thinking about life insurance are kids. Parents want someone who can explain life insurance and someone who knows how to listen too, so it'll fit their needs. And as a family's needs grow and change, they want someone who will be there to keep that life insurance up to date. That's why they come to State Farm agents.
And like a good neighbor.
And that's why they stay.
State Farm is there.
Every day, more Americans work with Chevys than any other truck.
Up early, USA. There's a lot of work you gotta do every day. And when push comes to shove, nothing works like a Chevy truck.
That's been true for the past 50 years combined, and still true today. More people bought Chevys this past year than any other truck.
Nothing works like a Chevy. Oh, yeah, Chevy truck.
U.S. Olympic champion Tim Tackett will face stiff competition from the Soviet bloc and from China at the American Cup Gymnastics Championships today on CBS Sports Sunday.
George Raveling during that break trying somehow to get this team back together, trailing 52-37. And, of course, the reason being they want to get into the NCAA tournament, which reminds me to tell you a week from today, 6 o'clock Eastern, I'll be in Kansas City with our CBS group, and we'll announce the pairings, tell you where everybody's going and when they'll play. Broken up, Thomas. 10 turnovers now against the Hawkeyes. And it's stolen back. Wright eventually gets it off to Roy Marble. Here comes Banks. Oh, shot not there today, but White is there, and he has 6 points in the second half.
You know, I think the reason that George Raveling called that last timeout is offensively, Iowa has done a good job coming out in the second half and getting inside scores, but they're allowing Indiana to come back and score very easily. Callaway has gotten the ball inside, as has Harris. They must keep the ball out of the middle, right there.
Harris on the fine pass, can't get it, and we're going to have a foul on Darryl Thomas. You know, the amazing thing to me, Doug, and you've been around basketball all your life, when you have a critical game like this, you'd think the intensity would be up to that. But it doesn't seem to be happening today with Iowa. It's hard to understand.
Well, sometimes, you know, kids, you know, they come off a tough loss at Ohio State, and they come in here and their confidence level gets down, and you get jumped on early, and your heart gets taken out of the ball game. And I think that Indiana's done a good job of taking Iowa's heart out of this game right now.
There's a difficult shot. Lorenzen able to nail it. 52-41. Long uphill struggle with 16:51 left in this game.
Iowa is an explosive team. They can get back in this game. By no means are they out of it.
There's Thomas. Nice pass by Callaway. Thomas with 12 points. Other end is Marble. Leaves it short. Harris there with yet another rebound. He has 11 rebounds at the 16:30 mark of the second half. And that's a traveling call. And that got the attention of Bob Knight. Turnovers. Interestingly, Indiana has 13, and that is above their seasonal average of 12.9. That's about the only thing they haven't done right.
Well, Iowa now must capitalize on those turnovers. It's nice to get the turnovers, but you've got to score.
Marble getting the ball now. Evidently, somebody brought that to the team's attention, and they're going to wave it off inside, and a foul will go on Lorenzen, pushing off inside, and that'll be his third. And so Indiana will inbounds, and there was a missed opportunity, and Iowa will not have very many opportunities like that. They've got to convert on them now. There's Marble giving chase outside. Only been, what, one turnover really on the pressure defense, that zone press. The turnovers have been self-inflicted.
Right now, Indiana and Winston Morgan starting to do a little bit too much dribbling. You want to pass against these double teams. You don't want to dribble into a double team. Pass, force the defense to shift, and then you'll get that kind of shot right there.
Andre Banks on the move to Moe. Powerful move by Moe, and rattling up, and he feels that might be the beginning. Let's see. 54-43 now. You look for anything when you're struggling.
Right now, Iowa's starting to get a little bit back into this game. They've had a couple turnovers, a couple layups.
Actually, Indiana had the shot they wanted the last time. There it is. Beautiful play to Callaway. They say he's not very strong. Wait until he gets strong. He hits the weights this summer with that kind of leaping ability. Gary Wright, now they're back to that outside game again, Doug. What was a real peril for him in the first half.
Gary Wright is not a perimeter player.
Callaway missing. Indiana not showing patience that time down the floor. John Harris made him pick up the dribble and then got back to his defensive position. He's just playing so hard right now. And we're going to have a foul on Harris away from the ball.
You know, Gary, I think a point to be made right now. George Raveling has a very difficult coaching assignment with this Iowa team. He has a deep and talented bench. And you get into a situation where you start playing a lot of people, and you're trying to keep a lot of people happy. At this point in the season, he'd like to be able to play 7 or 8 guys and go with them. He played 11 people in the first half, as opposed to Indiana. They played only 7, and the reserves played only 7 minutes. And I think that the lack of continuity in this game has hurt Iowa.
Rebound by Harris. What is it? John Madden said one time, there's no democracy in sports. You play the guys that get you there. That foul is going to be the 4th on Gary Wright at the 14:36 mark. Indiana leads at 56-43. 17,000 plus on hand here at Assembly Hall on the campus of Indiana University, as the Hoosiers trying to pull back into a first-place tie with Michigan in the Big Ten. I'm Gary Bender along with Doug Collins. Callaway a little out of control, but Indiana will get the ball. And now Lojas will check into the Hawkeyes lineup. But, you know, get back to your point. I think it's a very good one. We watched some tapes on Iowa. They played 11, 12 guys. When you get to tournament, what, 7 or 8 is really all you really need, huh?
You can't keep everybody happy. You got to decide who's going to be your player. Somebody's going to have to be a role player. If they can't accept that, then they'll probably have to move on.
Well, we're going to move on right now. We're going to take a break at the 14:25 mark. Indiana still in command.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for a mitt for my kid.
Is he just starting out?
Well, yeah. Actually,
Well, this is our best one.
Gee, I forgot they made him so little.
He's what, about 5 or 6?
Still pretty young.
Maybe you should apply for the American Express card. It's part of a lot of interesting lives.
Look what I got you. Look. Oh. She loves it. Oh.
When the sun's real hot, a day of hard work seems to last a week.
What's the matter with you boys? It's only 102.
Bush. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Bush.
Head for Bush beer. Head for the mountains.
How can you get more than you expect for the price? How can you get more mileage than you expect from a gallon of gas? How can you get more standard features? More style? More room? Chevrolet Nova. Even with all this going for it, it still goes for only $74.35. New Chevrolet Nova. It's a lot more than you expect for the price. Nova.
Well, Doug, you could title this statistic lost opportunities. Let's talk about it.
Well, we talked about turnovers. Indiana with 13, which means there could be a possible 26 points for Iowa off those turnovers. Look, only 8 points off those turnovers. Actually, Indiana has converted better off turnovers. Iowa's strength is creating turnovers, getting into an open court game, and they've not been able to do that today against Indiana.
Iowa trailed by 13 at half and now trailed by 15. There's been 4 turnovers in the second half, and Iowa's converted only 1 of them. 58-43. When you're on the road, you just can't let those opportunities get away from you. Here's Bill Jones, who's been very quiet today. Banks from the corner. Andre Banks, 9 points. Banks coming in here is averaging 9.9. Pressure not affecting Indiana all that much. Bob Knight said something interesting last night. He says, I don't believe that you win with a press. Had some pushing out front that time between Banks and Aldridge. And shuffled out now to Thomas. George Raveling won the 5-second count. Winston Morgan not getting it, and there'll be a foul on Horton. Coming up next now, we'll be switching to the Boston Garden. The Pistons have won 10 in a row against the Celtics, who this year have lost only 1 game in the Garden. They are 25-1. Kevin McHale's back in the lineup.
Yes, he's back. Bill Walton did an outstanding job in his absence, but Kevin McHale, I think, is one of the toughest low-post players in basketball.
At the line, Darryl Thomas. And still, Raveling is after the officials about the 5-second call. He's already had 1 technical. At the line now, Indiana 11 of 15. 13 points for Thomas.
You know, Gary, to get back to that point about Bob Knight, about pressure defense, he said an interesting thing yesterday. He said he feels like pressing defenses is like fool's gold.
That's exactly right. And that follows up the point I made that you just don't win with the pressure defense. He thinks there's other things that get you where you want to be. And today, Iowa's pressing defense has absolutely produced very little in this game. Here's Callaway ducking in. He gets it back somehow. Now Raveling's on the floor. He's on the floor. He's got a technical. He's clear out on the floor.
That should have been a walking violation against Callaway. He went up for the shot, and the ball actually got caught on the hip of an Iowa player. He came down with it and went up and scored.
He almost tackled the official. There was no way they could avoid handing him a technical. But you're right, Doug. I don't know how it couldn't have been a traveling call. Well, 1 more, and we're going to have a new head coach for the rest of the day. Alford at the line. Well, You know, George has just had a frustrating day because his team is having that kind of day. It just seems like they take 2 steps forward and 1 back all afternoon long.
Well, you put Mr. Alford to the free throw line, and that's a sure 2 points right there. He is money in the bank at the free. Let's watch this, all right, Gary? It's a drive into the middle. Let's watch Callaway. He goes up, all right, and the ball actually gets hung on the hip of Ed Horton. He picks it up then and gets the score.
But actually, did he release the ball? Then can you come back with it?
If the ball has not left his hands and it's pinned against the guy's chest, it's like an up and down violation.
Anyway, that precipitated the second tee against Raveling. That'll be Indiana's ball. 12:50 left to go in the game. Remember now, Iowa had won 3 in a row against Indiana, including earlier this year. They won impressively at home by 10, 79-69. Rojas comes up to Banks. 14 turnovers against Indiana. Let's see if they can convert it. They do. The basket will count and a foul. Foul on Morgan. Jones with a chance for a 3-point play. That'll be the 3rd foul on Winston Morgan. Bob Knight, who has won 2 NCAA championships, 76 and 81. A team that's very young. You look at this ball club, they have 1 senior in the starting lineup, 1 other senior who plays very much, and Stu Robinson. He's already recruited an outstanding junior college center from San Francisco and another player out of the Cincinnati area for next year.
I asked him yesterday about recruiting, how it's changed, and I'll get to that point in a minute.
There's Thomas on the feed from Alford and a charge on Darryl Thomas, and now Bob is up. He's going to give the ball back. I thought he might take it in the dressing room with him.
But, Gary, I asked Bob Knight yesterday, we were talking, how recruiting has changed in his years in the business. And he said, well, I'll tell you how much it's changed. He said, I went and watched an 8th grader play the other night.
I'll tell you. Now, your kid's what, in the 6th or 7th grade? You're going to start getting some business really soon. There's a foul on Harris. That's his 3rd. 16 foul against Indiana. Rick Lasavita, our producer, says if Bob's going to go out and do that, that means the rest of the coaches now will have to go out and visit the 8th graders.
That's right. The junior high is going to be now infested with college coaches coming to look for talent. He does not know where he's going to high school yet, but he's already chosen his college.
Here's Lorenzen sweeping inside, and he's fouled. It's going to be Callaway on the foul. That's 3 on Rick. And that's the 17th foul, so they're going to start shooting free throws. With 12:23, so they put him in the bonus very early in this game. Lorenzen will go to the line. Lorenzen, a good free throw shooter. Talking about Al, he says he is so smart that sometimes he analyzes too much, Doug. I thought that was an interesting point.
And you know who he compared him to is a young man he recruited at Maryland. That was Tom McMillan, who is obviously an absolutely superb, intelligent player on the floor. But a lot of times, guys that think a lot, you lose your instincts on the floor, and you overanalyze, and you stop doing what is good to you.
Harris knocked down on that scurry after the free throw. He's up limping a little bit. 64-49. 12-14 left in the game. Morgan loses the handle, saves it to Callaway. And Alford loses it. You kind of get the feeling Indiana's lost a little of their edge. At 16 turnovers, they're not playing with the crispness they did in the first half.
Steve Alford that time took his eye off the ball just as he was getting ready to receive it. He was looking at the basket, never caught the ball.
Crowd on their feet, they anticipate now. Maybe Indiana's level has dropped off a little bit. Lorenzen on the miss by Rojas follows, and Lorenzen, like a blue-collar worker that time, pounded that one in.
Let's see if this pressure defense from Iowa now maybe force a turnover, get an easy basket.
I just sense that Iowa's playing harder than they have at any time of the game as Horton comes up with it.
And here's an easy basket off the turnover, and now we've got a 11-point ball game, and Bob Knight wants a timeout.
A very strategic timeout. Bob Knight calls for a break at the 11:27 mark. Indiana leads at 64-53. We'll return to Assembly Hall after this word from your local station.
This is CBS.
Sweat it out.
We know the score. Get it right, we'll save you more.
Bag the season's hottest savings on tools, hardware, and more starting Sunday at Burrow. The Stanley 25-foot 1-inch power lock, just $7.88. Energizer batteries, they're only $1.99 a D-cell twin pack. Armstrong ceiling tile, just $1.99 each. There are hundreds of great buys in your circular, and it's coming in your Sunday paper. Watch for it and save.
Don't do it yourself without us.
Burrow.
When Lee Iacocca says, if you can find a better car, buy it, that is one heck of a statement about solid value. But what he fails to mention is that the new Chryslers and Plymouths are affordable, especially here at Perkins.
Right now, Perkins has the car for you. A new 1986 Chrysler New Yorker with 5-year, 50,000-mile protection. All this luxury for only $299.50 per month.
Solid value that fits the pocketbooks of today's working men and women. Here today at Perkins Chrysler Plymouth.
WHAS-TV, Stereo 11, Louisville,
Today's
Kentucky.
game between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Indiana Hoosiers is sponsored by Today's Chevrolet, who invite you to live the style, performance, and fun of Chevrolet in '86. The American Express card. Don't leave home without it. And by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Iowa with 8 unanswered points, and a concerned Bob Knight called a timeout, and they've lost something.
You know, Gary, they got the 19-point lead, 8 straight points by Iowa, and I think what Coach Knight is trying to do here is tell the guys, as we approach tournament time, guys, we can't have this kind of letdown. Once we get a team down, you can't let them back in the ballgame. Do not give them a second opportunity to win the game.
What is that? The knockout punch, the killer instinct, whatever you want to call it.
When you get them down, don't let them up.
So Indiana now with an 11-point lead. 11:19 left in the game. You saw the shooting statistics. Iowa's picked up considerably in the second half. Batted out of bounds. It's always been curious to me. Look at this score. Duke, North Carolina, top-ranked Duke against Carolina. It's always been curious to me, Doug, that a kid can think he's playing hard, and yet he really isn't. And sometimes nobody but the coach senses it.
Well, there's a thing that as a coach you talk about false enthusiasm. A lot of times you can be cheerleading and rah-rahing and not getting anything done.
Alford, who had missed a couple, nails that one. 19 points. He's second in the scoring in Big Ten, better only Scott Skiles. That's his first field goal of the second half. Horton on the rebound. Boy, he is tough. And Harris is tougher. Raveling is sitting down on the sideline. He fell out of his chair after Harris rejected the shot.
Well, he wants a goaltending right here. Let's watch. It's hard to see from that angle, but George Raveling was lying on the floor.
He's still on the floor. Here is Horton as he is back. Raveling is still prone on the floor. Now he's getting up. he thought it should have been goaltending. Anyway, Iowa will have the free throw coming as Callaway now has committed his 4th, and Iowa, I should say Indiana, starting to get into foul trouble as Stu Robinson will come in. George Raveling doing a little theatrical work here on the near side, and with 2 technicals, you better be pretty careful.
That's what I was going to say, being demonstrative, falling down like that. I mean, he could actually pick up a 3rd technical. Air ball.
And of course, when you're on the road, the crowd loves that.
Do you think the next time he touches the ball, they'll be yelling air ball here?
You can hear it right now. They aren't even waiting until the next time. The old brick.
That wasn't even a brick.
10 and a half left to go in this game. 66-53, Indiana with the lead. There's a shot by Thomas. That was not a good shot to take. Here comes Banks. Indiana not getting that good shot, legislating the good shot they did in the first half. Here's Lohaus, and Harris is up again. Rebound is Horton, and we're going to have a foul, and it's going to go on Stu Robinson. Look at George Raveling. He has a ball, and he's not going to give it back until he gets it determined whether Harris again had interfered with that shot. He was up above it again.
I think that Horton's going to be the man to go to the free throw line here. I don't know who they're going to put there, but I think Horton got the rebound. He's fouled. Let's see what he's made of. He just shot an air ball. Can he step to the line now with some composure and knock it in when they need it?
That's where that pre-shot routine works, right? Is that what you do when you don't have success?
Either that or you point to your buddy and say, that was you that was fouled, not me.
Here it comes. Air ball. The air ball in the background. So college ball is all about, isn't it?
If I were him, I'd make sure I hit glass anyway.
Well, he did, but look at this. He follows, and that is the difference of Iowa in the second half, is their tenacity on the follows, the second shots.
He said
56-55.
He said a free throw's only worth one. I want two. I'll just get my own missed shot back and score.
Two. Coming up next, we'll have some intensity from the Boston Garden. The Pistons against the Celtics. Then it goes now to Harris. Good-looking shot. It just didn't go. Iowa's on a 10-2 run since the 13-minute mark of the second half. Lorenzen's been part of that, and he gets two more, and we're starting to have a basketball game.
We have a 9-point game, and Al Lorenzen, after only 2 free throws in the first half, now has 9 points in the second half.
Gary Wright getting ready to come back into the Hawkeyes lineup.
The man they've gone to today when they've needed a basket has been offered. They did it out of a timeout. See if they try to get him off the ball, run him off the screen for a jump shot.
You see Steve ducking into the left-hand wing area. Well, that was a tough pass.
Alford has to work so hard off the ball for his shot. He's not got great size.
What you had, you could post guys up, take them inside. There's a fine pass to Morgan, and it's rejected by Lorenzen. He gets it up, and Loaz tips it out to Horton, and they have a chance to cut this to 7. And timeout, Iowa. 8:32 left in this game.
That was a great timeout by George Raveling. They'd just gone through a terrific defensive sequence. His team was tired. He wanted this possession to be important for him.
And so the Hawkeyes looked like it's going to be a long afternoon. All of a sudden, they climb back in it.
When it's time for fun, take it on the run. Introducing today's Sprint, the import from Chevrolet that loves to run.
Loves to save, loves to run. Grab a Sprint, share the fun.
Sprint's 3-cylinder overhead cam engine combines extraordinary mileage with zippy performance. And with Sprint's low sticker price, the fun has just begun. Today's Sprint, it loves to run.
Drive today, Chevy. Live today, Chevy. Chevy.
They say the best ones are the hard ones. These you don't break. You try to reach an agreement. And when you do, you head for the mountains. Bush. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream, for a taste as smooth as its name. Bush.
Head for Bush beer.
Head for the mountains.
Night. Lights. Rain. You know the feeling, wondering if you could stop if you had to. But now there's Arcot. Bridgestone's surprising Arcot S371 radial. A tire that doesn't compromise in mileage or performance or stopping power. There's never been a tire like it. Arcot, patented by Bridgestone, where new ideas take hold. Call 1-800-453-9000.
All-Star MVP Isaiah Thomas has the Pistons on the move. They'll face Larry Bird and the league-leading Boston Celtics on CBS Sports next.
If you're going to beat back a charge, you got to go to the guy we called the money man, and here he is.
This is what Indiana did off their last timeout. To get a basket, they work Alford off the ball. He's going to drive Banks in, watch him spin him around, come back off the screen, in rhythm. Beautiful shooting form. That's his only basket of the second half. Look to see now at Bob Knight after this timeout from Iowa, when Indiana gets the basketball, if he'll try to run something again for Alford and get another jump shot.
Steve has taken only 3 shots in the second half. He hit that one. He was 5 of 9 in the first half. 15 points in the first, 4 in the second. And that may be the guy that's going to have to stave off this challenge now by Iowa. Iowa down by 9.
Iowa needs to get the the ball inside. They're in the bonus situation. They're shooting free throws. Attack the basket. Don't shoot the perimeter jump shot.
They've been in the 1-and-1 since the 12-23 mark, but they missed the front end of free throws twice. There's Alford with a steal. And he's going to bring it back outside to Morgan. Thomas. Foul tip. And that was Harris again. Every time they've had a timeout, they come out and executed very well.
Right man, right spot. Andre Harris today. A gorgeous left-handed tip in.
68-57 Indiana. Harris and Wright going after each other inside. Look at him. They're going to call a foul. It's on Harris. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. You could see that one coming. Harris committing the personal foul. That's his fourth. Now both Callaway and Harris have 4 at the 7:37 mark. Iowa with 1 timeout remaining. George had to call his early just to try to salvage the game. Now, I bet he wished he had more than 1 remaining.
Well, what hurts is after he called a timeout to let his team sort of catch their breath and tell them what they wanted, they go out and get a turnover that leads to an Indiana basket. So you lose the timeout and you lose 2 points with a turnover. That is just deadly.
Now they've missed their 1-and-1 opportunities, missed the front end of them twice. Now Wright is able to stop that. You know who's a warrior out there? 14-25. He is absolutely picked up the intensity of this team. And I see Winston Morgan talking to him now, evidently to try to cool him off with it. But he's a warrior out there.
Well, he's absolutely making no friends here today. He already cracked Daryl Thomas in the mouth with an elbow once earlier in the game. So he is definitely making his presence felt for Iowa.
Well, what was it he said? George Raveling, he'll be an impact player in 2 years. It may be before that, the way he's playing here. And no pun intended. 68-59. Indiana really spreading it out now, Doug.
They want to really get Iowa impatient here and get a layup. Using the clock, trying to make them expend a lot of energy and then try to get something inside maybe for Andre Harris or for Daryl Thomas.
They have 7 seconds on the shot clock. Intended for Harris. And who's it? It's going to be Indiana's ball. Rojas touched it last. So they'll reset it with only 5 seconds on the shot clock.
Look for Alford for a quick jump shot. Alford coming out of the inbounds play.
They're really giving Alford trouble, and he loses it. Banks comes up with it. The guy that hasn't been shooting well, that was a very crucial shot for this team. Cuts it to 8.
You know, fouls are going to be a big factor here right now. Iowa can gamble, only 3 fouls. Indiana already in the bonus.
And 2 men with 4 fouls on them, that being Harris and Callaway. Indiana has only 2 field goals in the last 6.5 minutes. Our statistician Mike Swanson coming up with that. 68-61 is the count. I think I said 68-60. It's a 7-point game. They're ended out again.
One thing you have to be very careful about right now is not to try to take a shot just to beat the shot clock. That's what happened to the last possession, and they weren't able to get it up. Down to 7 seconds again.
Robinson on the drive. Doesn't get it. Horton does. Gets it off now to Banks. They can cut it to 5 and do. And this is going to be a very, very interesting finish. Indiana, I would say this is a big trip down the floor for them.
Well, it is. The last 2 times they've used the clock and it's worked against them. They've not gotten a good shot at the basket.
And away from the ball, Thomas has committed the foul.
Oh, I saw that one all the way. He was bumping Jeff Moe, trying to fight through the screen. That's Thomas's 4th. But, Gary, more importantly, that's a 1-and-1 free throw now for Moe down on the other end. That's where fouls become a factor.
Well, also, it's the 3rd player to have 4 fouls for Indiana.
Here's the play right there. Daryl Thomas moving on the screen. Moe got his arm in there to try to fight through it, but the moving pick had already been called.
Now Callaway will come in. He's coming back in with 4 fouls. Robinson will leave. So the 5 that opened the ball game now in there for Bob Knight. Remember now, they haven't substituted all that much. 3 of their players went 20 minutes, 119 in the first half. Some of that foul difficulty really could be big as we go down the stretch. Moe at the line. This guy is a tough kid. George Raveling was saying that he'd never had a kid mentally tougher than Jeff Moe, the sophomore out of Indianapolis. He looks like a competitor, doesn't he? Last time they were within 4 points, and now within 3 was when Indiana led 8-4 at the start. So Iowa has come from 18 points back in this game.
Boy, you got to give them a lot of credit, Gary. They could have just folded it in.
Callaway loses it.
That's his 7th turnover of the ball game on Ricky Callaway.
20 against Indiana. How teams can turn it around, how games can swing around, and you're seeing it happen here.
Moe wants the shot. He's confident. He's hit a jumper and 2 free throws.
Lojas will do it. Doesn't go. Tries to follow Thomas with the rebound. And Moe trying to draw the foul. Raveling thought he should have had the foul.
That would have been a costly foul. That would have fouled Daryl Thomas out of the game if that one would have been called.
There was some acting going on, but there was a legitimate bump. And there will be a foul on Banks. Andre Banks with those long arms. He has a 39-inch sleeve, and he tries to go over, come up with the steal, commits only his first foul.
Gary, this is what we were talking about right here. Daryl Thomas, Moe is going to give him some problems. And watch this. He steps out and lowers his shoulder. Boy, I tell you, that was a lot of contact there for no foul to be called.
I think we're coming up to tournament time, don't you?
I believe so. And I also know right now that Indiana desperately needs a basket here. Steve Alford is wide open on the other side of the floor.
Foul on Jeff Moe. That's his second. But as you mentioned, they still aren't going to be shooting free throw. That's only 5 team fouls against the Hawkeyes. George Raveling says that's okay. We still have 2 to give.
Right there's the man they want to shoot it.
They lost him somehow, but he doesn't hit the shot. Horton saves it. They can cut it to 1. Right.
Oh, he's going to wipe this basket away on an offensive foul.
He is a spectacular leaper. He was up so high, he is fouled out of the game and doesn't get the basket.
Has the ball been released when the contact is occurring? And has not. The ball was still in his hand. That was a good call. Boy, what a costly play that was.
That hurt him in a lot of ways. And now George Raveling will have to make a substitution. And what really hurts you, Doug, is it stops that momentum you've got. You don't even want to have any break in the action when things are going well for you. And now he's got to make the substitution. Al Lorenzen will come in, and George is in no hurry to make this change.
You know what's interesting, Gary, to me is, you know, what stimulates a kid all of a sudden to start turning it up a notch and playing? Was Iowa getting embarrassed and they decided they have to play? And as a coach, you say to yourself, you know, why aren't they ready to start from the beginning of the ball game?
Hey, George better be careful. He's going to be listening to this game on the radio in the dressing room. He already has 2 technicals. Well, Wright's the first to foul out, but look at Indiana. They've got 2 guys with 4. And they should put another one in there. Harris is in there, too. Callaway, Thomas, and Harris all have 4. 68-65. Lorenzen jumping out. They weren't doing any of that in the first half. They are playing about 2 clicks higher in the intensity level in the second half. Here's Callaway. The leaner. That is a very difficult shot. 16 points for Callaway. Back to a 5-point lead for Indiana.
Still plenty of time. Iowa doesn't want to get excited.
Moe, and you said it, Moe wants the ball. It's interesting. You can just see he wants to shoot it.
Well, he's taking it on the dribble and looking for the hoop only.
12 points.
That's the kind of young man you want on the floor when the game is on the line, because you know he will not run away from the basketball.
And he's bumping Alford at every step of the way. He is chesting him out. Look at this. And now Moe runs into Thomas. It is physical. And he stepped on the end line. It's going to be Iowa's ball.
Gary, the one thing that Jeff Moe doesn't want to do, he doesn't want to foul Alford off the ball, because now they are in the penalty or bonus. But let's watch the play. Moe's going to get a pick here from Thomas, spins him around. Alford with the ball drives baseline and steps out of bounds.
You talk about playing it close. Moe is bumping him at every opportunity. Here's Horton. And it's a 1-point game at the
moments ago that I would have ever dreamed that Iowa could have got back into this game today. That's what I'm talking about right there. You're 1 point back, and Mo bumps him off the ball, and it's 2 free throws now.
So they'll be shooting him with 7 fouls. But he's been doing that all along. I mean, he's been drawing attention to it. What does he expect?
That's why, you know, when you get back into a point where a possession will put you in the lead, you don't want to put an outstanding free throw shooter on the line. That's the point, Gary, that I was trying to make, because Alford is having a difficult time scoring from the field. You don't want to let him get off at the free throw line.
You change your tactics. You got to understand what the time and score is. And sometimes kids forget when they're on the floor. Alford missed his first free throw. He was 7 of 7 before that. And now Iowa can take the lead. The NBA coming up next. Celtics and Pistons. Iowa has never led in this game. They may here. Rebound. Horton's got it. And Winston Morgan comes out of there with it. Alford was bumped in the backcourt by Mo, and that was very flagrant. Todd Meyer, number 30, is checked into the game, the junior out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Mo now, I think, has taken it a step too far, Doug. He has really been bumping Alford. Alford gets away and nails it.
He also went over and said something to Mo, too. He's talking to him down the floor now.
They're going to have a fight here yet. He has been shouldering, chestering, elbowing Alford every time. And now Alford comes back, and Mo wants a timeout. And I want to tell you, this is Big Ten basketball. Timeout. 2:01 left to go. If you were with us early and just joined us, you have missed a real comeback.
This Bud's for all that you do.
They said this city was through. You said, no way.
Each day the spirit's growing. Your pride is really showing. You make America work, and this Bud's for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
This Bud's for you.
Delta gets you there. To Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, and New York. Also service to all of Florida's major resorts. Delta also gets you to Europe, Hawaii, and the islands. In all, Delta serves more than 100 cities in the U.S. and overseas. Delta gets you there.
Chevrolet introduces Black Magic, a new Cavalier with super-tuned suspension, ground effects, multi-port fuel injection, and so much more. What it is a new Cavalier with the bloodlines of Corvette and Camaro. New Cavalier C24, a quick little fox, raised by wolves.
You're looking at historic Boston Garden, the home of the Boston Celtics, who are 25-1 this year at home. That's the best record at home in the NBA, and you'll be looking at one of the all-time greats, Larry Bird, the remarkable player for the Celtics, and Isaiah Thomas, who played so well for Bob Knight here in Bloomington and the Indiana Hoosiers. That's coming up next, the Pistons against the Celtics. This place is rocking here, and they'll be doing that on the parquet floor of the Boston Garden. Here we go. 2:01. Indiana has the lead. Iowa has the basketball.
Jeff Mo was taken out of the ball game on that last possession. I think George Raveling wanted to let him cool off. Bill Jones has taken his place. Now, who is Iowa going to look to? Marble really hasn't played much. Bill Jones has been a clutch shooter for him during the course of the year.
Here is Banks. Inside 2 minutes. Jones ducks in. Stripped to the ball by Harris. Harris with a good defensive effort. And now Indiana will run some time off the clock. Boy, during that last break, this crowd erupted, didn't it? Trying to support the Indiana Hoosiers. Iowa with no timeouts remaining. With 1:25 left in this game. Indiana led by as many as 18. There's Alford trying to get the hand checking off of him. Harris will kick it back out. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Morgan with Lorenzen chasing. Here's Alford. Horton at the other end, and he traveled with it. And Raveling may be traveling to the dressing room if he isn't careful. He is incensed. The 2 technicals already. With 52 seconds left to go, Indiana battling to hang on to a lead that had diminished to 1 point, now leading 74-69. Indiana trying to keep pace with Michigan to pull into a tie for first place in the Big Ten. Iowa critically needing this win to go into the NCAA tourney, and we have a foul in the backcourt on Lorenzen. 4 fouls on Lorenzen.
Right now, Winston Morgan will be going to the free throw line. Gary, you got to give a lot of credit to Steve Alford. He was being dogged all afternoon off the ball. Got to a 1-point game, and he hit 2 clutch jump shots from the same spot in the left corner along the baseline to give this team now, an Indiana team, a 5-point lead. But I think that Jeff Moe got him so irritated the one time he came back and got up in his face. And I've never seen Steve Alford show that kind of emotion outwardly towards another player.
You know, it's interesting, Doug. Sometimes you can push a guy too far and it can be counteracted.
Oh, I tell you, I really like the way he responded, and we know that he's the clutch man. I think the fact that Iowa really didn't have anybody to go to down the stretch has hurt them. And the fact that they really haven't had a guy that they can call his number and he can get down and get a score for them.
Morgan hit both free throws. Iowa wants to make a substitution, so they'll have to re-inbound the ball. Now, wait a minute. Reeves is coming in. Now he's not.
Well, he was checking in for defensive purposes. So when he checked in the ball game, he does not want to go in now. He wants to wait until there's a stoppage of play and go in defensively.
There he is. Reeves is trying to hide now over by George Raveling. They want to see why, in fact, they sounded the horn, and Bob Knight wants to know the same. They evidently did not start the clock, so they're going to have to, let's see, they're going to add a couple of seconds. It's 44, and now George not happy about that either. So they'll add 2 seconds to the clock here. They started the clock when they started up the floor, and now they'll re-inbounds, and here we go.
With Iowa out of timeouts, if they get a quick score, they can't stop the clock. Normally they can stop it right here.
Horton, this is an easy one inside. Second effort. Horton has really helped this ball club. You know, Lorenzen tried to call a timeout. He didn't even know they didn't have one over here.
Alford doing the smart thing, keeping the ball in his hands, making sure that he's the one that gets fouled and goes to the free throw line. That is court presence.
Jones committing the foul. Did you see that after they hit the basket almost out of a reaction because you practiced it so much? Lorenzen was waving for a timeout, and they told him, a couple of his teammates, they don't have any.
Well, he doesn't want to get a timeout now. An excessive timeout would be a technical, so that would be really costly with 28 seconds to go.
Now, George Raveling wants to check with the scorer's bench again, see if the clock is correct with 28 seconds. Indiana right now is putting the lid on at the free throw line. Morgan hit 2 in a row, and now Steve Alford's hit his first. Steve with 24 points. Beautiful rotation on the ball. Back to a 7-point lead. They had it to 1, and Indiana has beat them back momentarily. Next week, Indiana and Michigan, and that could be for the Big Ten title coming up here on CBS. And, of course, coming next, the NBA on CBS. Alford very alertly calls a timeout with 13 seconds to go. Indiana, 13 seconds away from their 20th win.
An idea can happen anytime. When you work for Hewlett-Packard, you don't just sell business computing systems, you solve problems. So when you have an idea, you do something about it. You never stop asking, what if?
You know that electronic mail project for the bank? What if we used HP Message?
This is a revolutionary advancement in shaving from Gillette Research. The brush. Gillette announces Brush Plus. a shaving concentrate and brush in one. A brush to lift your whiskers with the soothing warmth only a brush can give you. A concentrate with extra softeners and lubricants that are massaged deep into your beard for a shave that is superior. Brush Plus from Gillette for a superior shave.
This weekend, I'm seeing Rhonda. I got the Camaro. I'm seeing the folks, so I got a Chevette. My sister's in town this weekend with their kids.
You need a big car.
For just the right car, ask National for their low weekend rates, starting as low as $21.95 a day for an economy car like the Chevrolet Chevette.
For my class reunion, the Cadillac.
Weekends, it pays to get national attention.
The Chevrolet most valuable players of the game for Indiana: Steve Alford, 25 points, 9 of 10 from the free throw line. And Jeff Moe for Iowa, 12 points, 3 assists. And he really, intensity-wise, got this team cranked up. A check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated to each college's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. But I like the fact that Iowa had character. They could have just tanked it in here. They were down by 18, and they did not. And they made a real game at it and cut it to 1, only to see Indiana now beat them back with 13 seconds left. There's Lorenzen trying to draw the foul from Thomas. And wide open is Thomas. Robinson, you take it, I'll take it. Robinson will put it away. And that's going to do it. Indiana has won their 20th game of the year. They pull back into a tie for first place in the Big Ten with Michigan. Iowa now 18-11, still in quest of an NCAA tournament bid with 2 tough games at home, Illinois and Purdue. Coming up next, the NBA, the Pistons against the Celtics from the Boston Garden. For Doug Collins, I'm Gary Bender. Once again, the final score, Indiana 80, Iowa 73. NCAA basketball has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the NCAA championship.
Nobody has lower fares than United to more cities across this land. North to south, east to west, only United has low fares to all 50 states.
You're not just flying, you're flying friendly skies.
Next Saturday, Big Ten powers Indiana and Michigan will collide. Next Sunday, a tournament preview, and later the tournament selection show on CBS Sports. This is CBS.
Walk into one of those big home centers, and you find out what big really means. Big means walking down a lot of aisles. Big means getting lost. And when you can't find what you need,